Hey guys, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. This is Ankush from Alif Consulting. Welcome in our Azure Migrate video. In this video, we will be going to talk about what is Azure Migrate is and how we can use Azure Migrate tool in Azure. Well, here is the agenda of our this video. So we will be going to have what is Azure Migrate is, what are the benefits, what are the rest of the tools we have within the Azure Migrate service, what are the versions was there, right? And then at the end I would be going to show you how you can use or how you can create a Azure Migrate uh, service, or how you can create the project into the Azure Migrate for the migration, right? So let's quickly jump to the introduction. So Azure Migrate provide you a simplest way to migrate, modernize, and optimize the service for Azure. All pre-migration steps such as the discovery, assessment, and right sizing of the on-premise resources are included for the infrastructure, data, and applications. Azure Migrate extensible framework allow for the integration of the third-party tool through the expanding the scope of supported use cases, right? And it's provide us the following things. It's provide us the unified migration platform where we can start, run, and track our migration. It provide us the range of tools where we can do the VM discovery, where we can do the database discovery assessments, where we can do the other Azure integrations for the discovery and assessment also. Third, it's provide us the assessment, migration, and modernization. What that mean is it provide us the options to do the assessment of the resources. If we are migrating from Azure to, sorry, on-premise to Azure, or from the other cloud to the Azure, it's provide us the migration options, like if we really want to migrate it to the like a VMware solutions, or if we really want to migrate on the databases kind of things, it's provide us to do that well. And it do provide us the modernization options where we can migrate our databases directly on the PaaS solution. We can migrate our VDI solutions. We can migrate our application directly on the web app also from the on premise. So these are the things which has been there into the Azure Migrate. Now this is how your Azure Migrate look like. It's simply a centralized migration repository with end-to-end tracking. It's provide us like the discovery, assessment, migration capability. It migration with all the Microsoft PaaS supported services for migration, and it's basically powered by Microsoft and other ISP partner tools also, like other migration tools which is there can be directly integrated with the Azure Migrate project. Now, what are the benefits we are going to get? So the benefit we are getting it comprehensive migration and modernization service for Windows and Linux workload. Simple and interactive interface with centralized repository for end-to-end tracking and insights. Azure cost optimization features and tool for efficient or effective cloud migration. So these are the benefits which we are getting with Azure Migrate. Now, what are the integration tool we have within the Azure Migrate? So we have a tool started with Azure Migrations Discovery and Assessment, which provided the discovery and assessment of the servers, including the database and web app. Like it's provided us the detail from the VM which is running on a VMware, Hyper-V, or a physical server as well. Third, a server migration. Sorry, the second is the server migration, which provides us the migration service where we can migrate the VMs from on-premise, hypervisor, VMware, physical server, or virtualized data centers also, or the public cloud VM to the Azure also. Third, we have the data migration assistant, which provides us the data migrations for our SQL server running on a VM to Azure SQL databases, managed instance, and the VM running with the SQL server on it. Second, then fourth we have is Azure Data Migration Service, which provides us the migration capability of on-premise data to any of the PaaS services, like the SQL running on a VM, SQL managed instance, or SQL database. Mover Mover is one of the tool which is basically provide us the service to assist the server, and then we can use this tool to migrate the VM also. Web app migration assessment, it provides us the capabilities to assess the web app migration to directly on the Azure web apps, and it's do the assessment for that. And then we have the Azure data box, which is basically kind of the data migration, which provide us the capabilities of migrating the data from on-premise to cloud, in a large size. So these are the integrated tool which we have within the Azure Migrate. Now the first tool which we have is the discovery and assessment tool. Discovery and assessment tool is the one of the way of discovering and assess the on-premise VMware's VM, hypervisor VMs, and the physical VM for migration. So it have a three different things. Sorry, the four different thing in it. The first is the Azure readiness. Assess whether your on-premise VM, SQL Server, or web apps are ready for the migration to Azure. Sizing, estimate the sizing of Azure VMs, SQL configuration, number of virtual machines or solution required after the migration. Azure cost estimate, provide us the estimate costing of running the on-premise servers in Azure. And then we have a dependency analysis to identify the cross-server dependencies and optimize the strategy for moving the independent server to Azure, right? So these are the things which we get under the assessment tool. Now the discovery and assessment is a lightweight Azure uh, migrate appliance that we eventually deployed in on-premise. So it's kind of a physical or the virtual appliance which can be run on as a virtualized on a virtual machine, and then you can connect that appliance with your VMware or the hypervisor to discover the things. Like the appliance can be run on a physical or on the VMs. You can install it easily by using the downloaded templates. Appliance discover the on-premise server. It also continues send the server metadata and the performance data to Azure Migrate to do the assessment. Appliance discover is the agentless. Nothing is installed on the discovered server. After appliance discovery, you can gather the discover server into the group and then run the assessment for the each group. So these are the things which you can by using the Azure Migrate appliance. And it's very important when you are running the servers on on-premise, or when you when you having or when you planning to migrate the servers from on-premise to Azure, and then you are using the multiple platforms like VMware, hypervisor, and the physical. In that way, you can use the Azure Migrate appliance to do the assessment or to discover the VMs. The server migration tool. Well, in the server migration tool, we have a different capabilities. The first capabilities which we have is on-premise VMware VM migration. It's provide us the capability to migrate the VM from VMware to Azure. Migrate VM to Azure by using the agentless or agent-based migration. We have a two capabilities which we can do, right? The second capability which we have is on-premise Hyper-V VMs. Migrate the VMs from Hyper-V to Azure, right? It's used to provide the agent install on the hypervisor host for the migration, and then you can directly connect your hypervisor host to the Azure Migrate or through the Azure Recovery Vault, and then from there you can migrate your servers. Third capabilities which we have under the server migration tool is on-premise physical server or the server host onto the another cloud. So that's something we can do. It's kind of a agent based migration. It allows us to migrate the VMs or the physical server which is running on a physical hardware, or if we have any servers which is running on the other cloud, we can use this tool to migrate the VMs directly on the Azure as well. The fourth capabilities which we have is web app hosted on the Windows operating system into the VMware environment. So this is something we can perform agentless migration of .NET ASP web apps at the scale to the Azure App Service using the Azure Migrate. So these are the two things which we can do under the server migration tool. Now the version. So we do have a multiple versions here for the Azure Migrate. So the current version, use this version to create the project discovery on-premise server and orchestrate the assessment and migration. Previous version was there, which is also known as a classic Azure Migrate, support only the assessment of on-premise servers running on the VMware. Right, classic Azure migration is retired, will be retired on Feb 2024. After the Feb 2024, classic version of Azure Migrate will be no longer supported and the inventory metadata in the classic project will be deleted. You cannot upgrade the project or component into the previous version to the newer version. You need to create a new project or add assessment and migration tool to use it. Now this is something which you need to do, right? So if you are already using the previous version, it's okay to use that till February 2024. But after that, you need either you before that you need to make sure either your migration is fully completed, else you should use starting the current version or the latest version to do the migrations. Now let's quickly jump into the demo. So in the demo, I would be going to show you how exactly your Azure Migrate console look like and how you can create the project in it, right? So you just on the top of the search bar, you need to search for Azure Migrate, and once you search for the Azure Migrate, this is how its tool look like. You just need to click on it, and then under the migration goal, you will be going to see you do have a plenty of things, right? You do have a data box, you do have a web app, you do have a VDI option, you do have a database, and you do have a server database and the web app migration goal. So you need to select any of your one goal, and then you need to create a project. So once you click on the project, you just need to define the resource group. Let me create a new resource group, and then you need to specify the project name. Let's say migration. I want to specify the location is in India, and then you can specify what is your connection method is going to be, and then you just need to click on create, right? Okay. uh, and once you created this project, then you would have option to choose the further action, like what are the VMs is going to be, what are the database migration you are looking for, what kind of web migration you are looking for. Those kind of option is only going to become once your migration project is created. So it's always you just need to create your project first, and then you would be able to do the further work on the Azure Migrate, right? Now you can see my project has been created. So once my project is created, you can see the plenty of things you can do. Discovery and assessment, you can do migration and modernization as well, right? So let's take an example. You really want to do the discovery only. So first you need to see what kind of environment you are having it, right? Either I want to do the AWS, GCP, or any of other cloud. So if I select the other client, I just need to generate the key. I just need to name the appliance. So let's take an example, migration, and then I just can delete download the key, and then from here I can download the migration appliance, and then I can set up that appliance. It's required a few prerequisites like a .NET and the other prerequisites which you need to install on the VM, and then from there I can install this migrate appliance to the discovery and assessment, and then from there I can basically you know uh, start migrating or start doing the migration from other cloud to the Azure as well. At the same time, if I select the other one, then in this case, you need to have the different things. Like if you really want to move to the other virtualization, like the VMware or any of the other environment, then in that case, what you need to do, you need to generate a new project, and then from the project, you can basically start uh, migrating it. And then you do have option to add a more tool. Like if you really want to add the other tools, like I told you, like a cloud Amazed, Cloudsphere, right? All of these tools are the supported like a mover. One of the thing which I've told you, you can directly add these tools into this migration Azure Migrate solution, and then you can start migrating it. At the same way, you can do the database migration as well. You just need to install the assessment tool like the database migration or the unified cloud is the tool which you can use for data migration. You just need to add that solution. You just need to create your project, and you just need to add that solution. From there, you can do that database migration. At the same time, you can do the VDI, web app, and the data box as well to data into the Azure, right? So these are the option which is there under the Azure Migrate, and from there you can basically start discovering assessment. Then you can do the migration, the modernization of your on-premise applications. Well, that's it in this demo. I hope you like this video. If you like, please click on like and subscribe for more upcoming videos, and feel free to reach us if you have any questions. Thank you.